Members of the Trump administration have actively been trying to undermine and discredit one of their own in the past few days. And that person happens to be Dr. Anthony Fauci. And what's happening right now is that Donald Trump is unhappy with the fact that Fauci is not falling in line like the rest of his administration and just blindly accepting the falsehoods that Trump likes to tell on a daily basis. Those falsehoods being that it's safe to reopen schools, that it's safe to reopen the economy, that maybe wearing a mask isn't all that effective, things like that. Fauci, on the other hand, has consistently been telling us what the science tells us, telling us what we know and what we learn. But in the early days of the pandemic, the things that Dr. Fauci was saying were not necessarily accurate. And that's because we didn't have all of the data in. Now, there were a couple times, sure, by Fauci's own admission, he lied to us. But he lied to us in order to protect first responders. So while a lie is always inexcusable, you kind of have to look at this one and say, in terms of lies, you did it for a good reason, but it was still the wrong thing to do. Here's what's happening right now. You have the White House that is actively sending out this list of alleged falsehoods that Fauci told in the early days of the pandemic. They're actually sending this out as a list, as a media kit to media outlets all over the country so that they start reporting on the fact that Anthony Fauci is just wrong about everything. Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, a man who we shouldn't listen to for a freaking second about the pandemic. He knows nothing about medicine at all. Yet he is out there weighing in, saying that Fauci's been lying to us. Everything he says, actually, is a lie, according to Peter Navarro. This is a direct quote. Dr. Fauci has a good bedside manner with the public, but he has been wrong about everything I have ever interacted with him on. Everything you've ever interacted with him on, Peter Navarro. Every single thing. Fauci's always been wrong every single time. He has never once told the truth at all, according to Peter Navarro, the man who has no training in science whatsoever, right? And we're supposed to take your word for it, you psychopath? You're a disgusting human being who, by the way, admitted 2 weeks ago, and the media didn't pick up on this, but 2 weeks ago, Peter Navarro admitted that all of the trade talks with China have now fallen apart. There are no deals in the works. He does not foresee any deals on the trade war in the near future, and the trade war is still going on, and that's him. Peter Navarro is the failure at every turn. As I mentioned, Fauci's admitted he lied. And he told us why he did it. He lied about the masks because the masks were needed by the first responders. They couldn't find them. They were out of PPE, which we're now once again running out of PPE. And so that's why he did it. It was a stupid thing to do. It was irresponsible. But he admits that he was wrong. And in the earlier days of this, we didn't know a whole hell of a lot about how infectious it was. We didn't know who was most susceptible. The data coming out of other countries has not necessarily mirrored the data coming out of the United States here, right? We are seeing more people die from it here. We, unfortunately, especially compared to Europe, have more people with more pre-existing conditions, and we have different pre-existing conditions than you might necessarily find in Europe. We have higher rates of obesity. That seems to be a big factor in this. Higher rates of diabetes. That seems to be a bigger factor, in the death rates here too. You don't see as much of that over in Europe. So Fauci could not have accurately predicted that because we didn't know. It was a brand new strain of SARS that had not yet hit this country. We didn't know how it was going to interact with our people, with our pre-existing conditions, and with our crappy healthcare system here in the United States. It's a whole different ballgame. Fauci had to base his early assumptions off what we saw in other countries, not realizing how screwed up we truly are here in America. Fauci is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but in terms of every single human in this Trump administration, Fauci is leaps and bounds above the rest of them in terms of being a decent human who does at least attempt to, most of the time, tell the truth.